is Wednesday, the 19th day of April 2023. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch on Hope TV, the station where you look and live. I'm Tess Njenga and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Let's take a look at the day's stories. Now, President William Ruto has expressed concern over the deteriorating situation in Sudan and the region. In the last 5 days, fighting has led to the loss of hundreds of lives, massive destruction of property, and the displacement of civilians. While issuing a statement, the president said that Kenya is deeply alarmed that a misunderstanding over a single outstanding item in the political framework agreement has degenerated into violent conflict. He also urged the international coalition of all the actors that have been involved in supporting the restoration of civilian rule in Sudan to act with urgency. Let's listen in to his earlier recorded speech.
The deteriorating situation in Sudan is of great concern to our region and continent. In the last 5 days, fighting has led to the loss of hundreds of lives, massive destruction of property, and displacement of civilians. Kenya is deeply alarmed that a misunderstanding over a single outstanding item in the political framework agreement, namely the time frame for the integration of the rapid support forces into the Sudan Armed Forces, has degenerated into violent conflict. As a result, the parties to the framework agreement have been engaged in military confrontation. The indiscriminate deployment of lethal power and air power by both RSF and SAF has targeted military and non-military targets, causing devastating damage to property as well as strategic public infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and airports. We are also deeply concerned that members of the diplomatic community have been targeted and civilians in general have been caught in the crossfire. A pattern of systematic violation of established norms and principles of international humanitarian law is clearly emerging, and this situation is evolving into a threat to regional and international peace and security. Kenya implores the leadership of the two parties to ensure full compliance with the resolution of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development Heads of State Summit held last Sunday. This includes an immediate cessation of hostilities, allowing unrestricted humanitarian access, and extending full cooperation to the IGAD Heads of State mission when it visits Khartoum. The outcome of these engagements and evidence of cooperation from the two parties will be crucial to the resumption and conclusion of the negotiations on the political framework agreement.
To matters in the country, despite police cancelling tomorrow's Thursday Azimio la Umoja town hall meeting in Murang'a County, the coalition leader Raila Odinga has maintained that the meeting is still on. In a statement, Raila has asked the residents to turn up in large numbers, saying that the meeting will be peaceful and within the law. According to Murang'a Police Commander David Matthew, the event was called off because the concerned party failed to meet the 4-day legal requirement for submitting notices, adding that security would not be guaranteed since police officers have already been deployed elsewhere. However, former Murang'a Governor and Usawa kwa Wote party leader Mwangi wa Iria has dismissed the decision by the police to ban Azimio's town hall meeting in Murang'a, saying the meeting will go on as planned and that the Constitution grants Kenyans the right to assemble.
Azimio leadership will be here, and we're inviting everybody at Mothers Union, and we're also going to have an engagement in town, and we want to hear what people are saying. We want to hear what is their input. What should we do with these Gachagwas and shareholders? Are we going to relocate them from Kenya so that we have ships brought by United Nations and buses, and then might be we get removed from this country, and might be go to Tanzania or another campsite? What are we going to do? Or are we then going to, if they insist that they're the shareholders, then we split this country into two. Shareholders country, that is the Kenya Kwanza Limited, and the Republic of Kenya, made up of non-shareholders. Because what they have done is that they have replaced Article 1, that we the people, the sovereign nation of Kenya, with Companies Act.
Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has expressed hopes in the recovery of the country's economy, signaled by the reduction of prices of maize flour. Speaking during a consultative meeting on devolution, which brought together deputy governors in the country, Gachagua affirmed that the government is committed to restoring the country's economy. Tiffany Wamboi gives us this report.
As Kenyans continue to grapple with increasing prices of vital commodities such as food items and fuel, the government is set to intensify efforts to see through the reduction of overall prices as part of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
Let's all be upstanding.
The government has equally continued to reiterate that they will not borrow from financial lenders to support the current expenditure. Speaking during a deputy governor's consultative meeting on devolution in Mombasa County, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua stated that the only way to ensure economic stability is by focusing on tax collection.
We have had challenges because the president and his government have made a conscious decision that it is not sustainable and it is not prudent to borrow money from banks at 14% to pay salaries. We have agreed as a government that the only way to restore the economy of this country, to where President Mwai Kibaki left us, is to fund our budget through revenue collection. That is why last month we had a slight challenge. There was a slight delay on payment of salaries because the previous administration used to borrow money from banks owned by the same leaders to pay salaries. And we have said no. We are paying salaries by collecting revenue. So there was a slight delay, but all salaries have now been paid.
A day after President William Ruto chaired a cabinet meeting in regards to high food prices, DP Gachagua noted that the price of maize flour has decreased as the government seeks to lower the cost between 120 shillings and 130 shillings.
We have progressively, through good thinking and planning, without any subsidy, brought the cost down to 190, to 180, to 170, to 160. As we talk today, on the shelf, there are many supermarkets offering unga at 159 shillings, up to 155. And I can tell you it will continue going down, awaiting the harvest in September. And after the harvest, because of the intervention that we have done to assist our farmers with subsidized fertilizer, we intend and we believe we'll be able to bring down the cost of unga to about 130, about 120.
Gachagua further urged the deputies to work closely with governors to ensure service delivery, stating that governors and their deputies in the previous administration did not work in harmony, a factor which has greatly affected citizens.
The failure of President William Ruto as president is the failure of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Similarly, the success of your government is your success. The failure of your government is your failure. Therefore, behoves you and your government to work together collectively to succeed, because both of you have a 5-year social contract with the residents of your county. That contract will be renewed on successful delivery or terminated on finito delivery.
The deputy president has called on the deputy governors and county bosses to adopt continuous engagement with the national government as they work to take the country to the next level of development. Under the Kenya Kwanza government, devolution is one of the roles assigned to the office of the deputy president through Executive Order number 1 of 2023. Tiffany Wamboi, Hope TV, Nairobi.
Much appreciated, Tiffany, for that report. Now, the civil society organizations are now demanding that citizens and civil society groups be included in the Azimio Kenya Kwanza bipartisan talks. Speaking during a press conference in Nairobi, the members said the matters to be discussed affect all Kenyans and it is therefore important for them to be included.
We are in a political standoff, facing yet another round of political contestation, which threatens our democratic and constitutional order. The stalemate has been largely driven by the political class. The people of Kenya, who have been granted the sovereign power under Article 1 of the Constitution, are being excluded and are hardly involved in key decision-making processes that impact on their lives. As civil society, this concerns us. Dear Kenyans, in 2010, we promulgated a people's constitution that vested sovereign power in we the people, and yet we are still beholden to our political leaders. As subject of the colonial rulers, were bound to their imperial lords. Our leaders have violated many aspects of the constitution while we watch on helplessly, forgetting that the power rests with us. Our political leaders have particularly betrayed Kenyans' quest for sustainable solution to the ongoing food crisis, cost of living, and access to public services, such as quality education, water, housing, and health, contrary to Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya. They have destroyed the economy and failed to use their mandate to fix those parts that need fixing, and consequently making life unbearable for the majority of Kenyans. They have overborrowed, misspent, mismanaged, and stolen the proceeds of imprudent and expensive loans, leaving Kenyans with an unsustainable debt burden. They have also instituted heavy taxes to pay for their largest and political arrangements by living opulent lifestyles and loading up the public wage bill with political cronies, while political allies evade taxes, placing the taxation burden on the Kenyan taxpayer.
It is for this reason that we are advocating for the adoption and the implementation of the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission report, among other reports on historical injustices in Kenya.
The Kenya Post-Primary Education Teachers KUPPET teachers says that it will take the Ministry of Education and Health to court due to the removal of the head teacher of Mukumu Girls High School in Kakamega. KUPPET on Wednesday issued a report on what caused the deaths of 4 people at Mukumu Girls School in Kakamega County. KUPPET also made recommendations on improving the environment of students and teachers in schools to prevent tragedies in schools. Our reporter Deli Mirigi Mbuvi now reports.
The laxity of the Ministry of Education and Health caused the death of 4 students at the Sacred Heart Girls High School, Mukumu, in Kakamega County. This is according to the Kenya Post-Primary Education Teachers, which blames the 2 ministries which are tasked with quality assurance and public health and cleanliness, respectively.
If this disease was an airborne and the school was closed by knee-jerk reaction as it occurred, the board is dissolved. I wonder how that one resolves a problem of a similar nature in any other school. A teacher of English does not have the capacity, but even if the teacher is a teacher of chemistry and is the head of that school, I wonder whether he or she has the requisite capacity to address matters of health of this nature.
Addressing the meeting, Nairobi, KUPPET Secretary General Kelo Missouri said the union is demanding to take the Ministry of Health and Education to court for failing to ensure that health standards are followed in schools. According to the association, water in the school was stored in an underground tank that was likely to contain impurities from the nearby sewage system. As a result, the school principal was ordered to resign under the blame for the accidental deaths, a move KUPPET disagreed with.
I think somebody must take responsibility. We must be serious as Kenyans, and we should avoid these knee-jerk reactions from the Ministry of Education every now and then. Something must be done, and conclusively so, the person who must protect the life and the activities of professionals is the Teacher Service Commission. How can they force the principal with a gun on her head to resign? It is not good.
Meanwhile, students in school are expected to report back to school in May, will be tested before being allowed to stay in school. The decision was made by a committee formed to resolve issues related to the closure of school following the deaths of student and teacher due to the report of food and water poisoning. Before the opening of the school, parents are expected to be invited to the school on April 29th in a meeting to be attended by Education CS Ezekiel Machugu. Dolly Mirigimbovi for Hope TV.
Well, that report by Dolly Murigi takes us to our first break on Newswatch tonight. Don't go too far. We have plenty more coming up.
Only God can turn a mess into a message.
I have a boy on a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I'm still preaching on the pulpit.
Amen.
Niliona mguu ya nyuma inakuja tu kunikanyaga, imenilenga tu kwa tumbo, nikaitana tu Jesus. I got tired of working with the x-ray papers, and one day I just woke up and decided to burn them.
A test into a testimony.
The whole community didn't want to hear that anybody is born again. Excommunicated straight.
Bila Yesu hakuna njia.
Join Sharon Naitore Wangenye on Testify.
Katika hiyo harakati hiyo spirit ikakemewa, mimi nimeona Yesu Kristo namna hii kwa msalaba. Opa, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. for a moment to grow your faith some more.
A very warm welcome back. Now, Hope Media joined other entities and organizations such as Optiven, Corat Africa, and CIC in the launch of the Chief Executive Officers Association themed Iron Strengthens Iron. The association will enable different CEOs partner with other organizations to network, partner, and support in an effort to enhance and grow business. Our reporter Whitney Akinyi has more.
A group of chief executive officers, CEOs in Nairobi have launched a forum dubbed Chief Executive Officers Association in an effort to unite CEOs across the world. The founding chair of the association, Roger Sodima, who gave a brief description of the functions of the forum, said the main aim of coming together as CEOs is aimed at creating job opportunities in the country.
Just to come together and champion each other as role model leaders. The second one is actually to network. But the third one is to support each other. And that's why we are even talking, for example, about the partnerships. How do we support each other to grow? And so that the more we grow, for example, whether in business, not for profit, and even in the government, the more we create employment.
While commissioning the CEOs Forum, lead pastor of Mission to the Body of Christ International, MBCI, Apostle John Kimani, urged Christians in various spaces of influence to take up the role of raising Christian integrity in their marketplaces and urged Christians to make an impact in their jurisdiction in order to transform the world.
The church in Africa has only ascended in one mountain, the mountain of faith. But we have left the other mountains. We don't aspire to take dominion over the other mountains, the mountain of education, the mountain of governance, the mountain of business and commerce. We don't aspire to take dominion in other mountains. So we build mega churches that are full of thousands of people. But when you go out there in the marketplace, our people are not trained. You are supposed to, as a CEO, to let your light shine in the marketplace. And when people see your light shining, they can be able now to acknowledge the God who is at work in your life.
Gracing the event was the Cabinet Secretary of Labor and Social Security, Florence Bore, who acknowledged the ministry's need to foster a globally competitive, responsive, and adaptive workforce through development skills and programs that will respond to the skills required in the future job market.
My ministry, through the State Department of Labor and Skills Development, remains cognizant of the need to foster a globally competitive, responsive, and adaptive workforce through skills development programs that can adequately respond to the current and future skills demands of the industry. Unemployment and underemployment remain major developmental challenges in the country, mainly due to rapid population growth, low economic growth, as well as the structural rigidities within the labor market.
Whitney Akinyi, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Thank you, Whitney, for that report. It has been a happy weekend for dozens of Marsabit residents in Gororukesa after the Christ is the Answer Ministry's SITAM missions toward the region in its annual mission work. The residents received medical care after a group of Christian doctors, in collaboration with the SITAM missions unit, set up medical camps in the area.
SITA missions under Christ is the Answer Ministries has been flying to the northeastern to reach to the unreached. SITA missions are 7 mission stations in the north, 3 in Marsabit town, 1 in Archers Post, and others in Kargi, Olturot, and Loyangalani. There is quite some work going on up there among its different people groups, which include the Rendile, the Turkana, the Samburu, the Burana, the Gabra, and the Burji as well. This year's first missionary service in Marsabit County took place in Gororukesa area. Marsabit County in northern Kenya borders Ethiopia to the north, Turkana County to the west, Samburu County to the south, and Wajir and Isiolo counties to the east.
All of us, we are doing unique things within the station. The medical team is dealing with a different health problem, doing consultations also, and also giving medicine to these people, the right medicine, and some of them doing a proper counseling if they're undergoing prevalent health issues. We thank God that God has given us good doctors, nurses, and pharmacists with us to help us in the process.
From Monday 27th March to Friday, March 31st, 2023, health workers affiliated with the SITAM missions unit under SITAM Church cared for residents ailing from various sicknesses to give them treatment. In Gororukesa area, 13 kilometers from Marsabit, the resident received medical attention with the main aim of the missioners being reaching locals with the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Gororukesa is a majorly Borana community where we reach out to them, to different people groups, generally women, youths, the children, and the men and women. And we thank God that God is doing great things here. And this time round, we were so expectant, try to engage in the lives of people. And we know that our gospel should be holistic. As much as we are feeding people spiritually, we want to also help them help their health, so that they can overcome the health problem they have, so that they can enjoy good health.
My name is Zipora Wanjiro, an ex-cans of 2023 SITAM Nyeri, and we are at Gororukesa in Marsabit, and we are in a medical mission camp. We are helping the medical practitioners in the part of registration.
Lots of patients, we could say around 90 plus, and we have been able to see and help a few. The main challenges is that we have patients who needed a multidisciplinary team, and that was a big challenge because we didn't have, some faculties were not represented. And then another challenge was referrals. The main hospital is very far.
According to the missionaries, these moved to serve the residents of Marsabit County and provide them with various services as one way of giving them the gospel has borne fruit, as a large number of residents here were able to give the life to Christ and agreed to proclaim the gospel.
It's been a successful day here as day 4 and all through the week since we began.
Early in the morning, many people came just waiting for us. As we know, we had just a small challenge with our means of transport, and God helped us we managed to overcome the challenge.
Dolly Mirikim for Hope TV.
Two people have died following a cholera outbreak in Kisumu County. According to County Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Gregory Ganda, 8 other patients are currently undergoing treatment at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital. The outbreak began in March 2023 with the first confirmed case reported. Since then, 7 additional cases have been reported, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 8. However, the number of suspected cases has surged to 52, causing concern for the county's health officials.
One death was of an old man from Waporego who had other comorbidities, hypertension and diabetes. And one was a man who had traveled from one of our neighboring counties and was reported sick when he arrived into Kisumu. We know that these are orally transmitted, and it's matters of hygiene and waste disposal and safe water that we are now dealing with.
Controversy has continued to rock members of an IDP group over the disposal of properties worth millions of shillings. Former internally displaced persons that camped at Mawingu in Miragin, Nyandarua County, had acquired 160 acres of land at Mawingu, 2 building blocks, making machines, and a vehicle, among other assets. They were resettled by the government at Shalom Farm in Makutano area, Laikipia County, in 2012, with majority of the members agreeing to sell and share the proceeds of the properties among the 3,200 members, but efforts to share them equally have hit a snag.
Tunataka pesa. Hiyo shamba ni yetu na sisi ndio tulitoa jukumu tukapatia shamba ni wetu Kariuki Getheji, tukasema ause shamba ili tupate. Akuuza peke yake, tunasimama na yeye.
Swali tunauliza, hii shamba ina shida gani? Sababu shamba ni yetu, na kama imeshindikana tuambue sisi wenyewe tuende kule. Serikali na wafanyakazi wa serikali watoke kando, tuingie kwa mali zetu, sisi tuamue na mali yetu. Kama ni kuuza, basi kama vile tutafanya kama wanashamba, sisi wenyewe tufanye.
Kama Mungu wako mbele yangu na juu ya watu hawa wote, serikali isiingilie mambo ya watu ya Shalom. Kwa maana sisi tulinunua shamba tukiwa peke yetu. Hakuna mtu aliingilia. Kutoka siku ya leo tupewe pesa. Tuko na njaa.
Narok court users have planted about 400 tree seedlings at the Narok Law Court's premises as a way of conserving the environment. The lead team by Narok Principal Judge Justice Francis Gikonyo and Environment and Land Court Judge Justice Charles Mbogo planted indigenous trees as part of their environmental and social responsibility. Also present was Narok County Chief Magistrate, who is also the head of station, Samuel Mungai, Narok Senior Resident Magistrate Phyllis Shinyada, and Resident Magistrate Daniel Nkayo. Judge Gikonyo reiterated, apart from the presidential declaration to plant over 15 billion trees in 10 years, the protection of the environment is a mandate enshrined in the Constitution. Hence, every person has an individual obligation of planting trees.
We chose to plant the trees today as part of our environmental and international obligation to plant trees and make our country green and be able to mitigate the harsh consequences we are seeing coming out of climate change. And as it has been explained by Judge Mbogo, it is because of interfering with nature and the way God made them to be. And the human activity, we know, is the major contributing factor towards what we are suffering under today. So we chose to plant to be part of that worldwide participation and the partnership. And we are planting about 400 trees within this small compound of ours as a way of encouraging others.
I'm not very certain about the punishment, but the punishments are quite serious unless I really have to check and confirm. But other than the fines that we impose, which can go up to hundreds of thousands of shillings, we also make them pay back to the Kenya Forest the damage that they may have occasioned by cutting the trees.
Nyeri Town Member of Parliament Duncan Mathenge has raised concerns over the emergence of betting farms in the country and their effect to the larger Kenyan community. In a motion tabled before Parliament, Mathenge stated that while the Betting, Lotteries and Gaming Act Cap 131 contains provisions for the control and regulation of the gambling industry, the emerging trend of media houses offering their audience platforms to take part in various contests has created an addiction within Kenyans. The Nyeri Town Member of Parliament further cited family breakups, high level of truancy in schools resulting in high dropout rates and financial burdens as some of the negative effects which have arisen as a result of such games. The motion calls upon MPs to ensure strict implementation of the Betting, Lotteries and Gaming Act by increasing control and oversight of the betting industry.
I think the only problem is how do we regulate this betting industry to ensure that it is not abused, at the same time it is not exploitative. Because when we leave it to become exploitative, especially among the youths.
Nobody is questioning, Madam Speaker, what then are the results or the consequences of all this? And I think these are the challenges now we are facing with young people. And that is why many will prefer to be in betting than even to going to the farm. They will prefer to be in a place within the town where the gaming goes on in terms of maybe football, which is okay. But then we've made it, it's becoming now an addiction.
We should actually declare betting an illegal activity in this country. But having given my brother who was brought the motion to the House, we support him on that issue. This issue of betting borders to addiction. We have problems here and there. The problems we have is not only betting. Our young people and even the older ones, people go for these things to get quick money. In the end, people are getting mad. Most of them are getting crazy just because they have wasted all what they have saved. Children who are going to school, all the dropouts, and all these things, drugs they are going into, is because of this betting thing.
Unayotarajia Ijumaa hii kwenye Mizani.
Leo nikiwa barabarani kuelekea mtaa wa Kitengela.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, kuangalia ua likirembeshwa, ua la waridi kwenye keki hii ambayo najua hapo ulipo watamani wameza mate tu.
Tuweza weka hii pia, hii ni nzuri.
Wakati wafanya kuirembesha na maua hayo pia wapaswa kuwa mbunifu zaidi.
Tukutane mezani.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at what is happening across our borders. Now, Japan says it is preparing to evacuate its citizens from Sudan, becoming the first country to take such a step in a country where violence has lasted since Saturday, despite calls for a truce. Fighting between the paramilitaries of General Mohamed Daglo's Rapid Support Forces and the army led by General Abdel Fattah in command since the 2021 has already claimed nearly 200 lives since Saturday, according to the UN. The Japan government spokesman has said there are about 60 Japanese nationals in Sudan, including embassy staff. And Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa has indicated that general elections expected later this year will be free and fair. During a speech marking 43 years of independence in Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa issued a warning to rogue civic society organizations. The Southern African country is due to hold presidential and legislative votes expected to be in August, but no date has been announced yet. The 80-year-old leader, who is seeking re-election, urged Zimbabweans to say no to violence before, during, and after the upcoming crunch vote.
I call on the nation to remain vigilant and protect our hard-won independence. No voices, foreign or local, inclusive of rocky NGOs, should sow seeds of division and disharmony among us.